Okay, so I'm going to tear out all this drywall here because they're going to be putting some extra plugs in, and this has had tile on it. It has had that fake brick on it, so it looks good, but it's not in very good condition underneath. So I'm going to tear it out, and then the electrician is going to come in, put in some new plugs, and then I'm going to come back and new drywall and tile it with the glass mosaic tile. So that's what I'm going to do now. What I'm using here is just an oscillating tool. It's like the fine tools that you see, but now there's plenty of different brands that you can buy. This one is a pretty good one that I'm using here. And what I'm doing actually is I'm just cutting through the sheetrock a little bit, and I'm trying not to go poke too far through because I don't know what is behind the sheetrock. So I'm just going to cut out a little bit so I can see what's behind, and then I'll just cut the whole thing out afterwards. But I just like to be cautious at the beginning and cut out a little bit just to get an idea of what I'm dealing with. You never know what you're going to find behind the drywall, so you just want to be careful. Most of the time they're just empty. There's nothing behind it, but sometimes you can find wires or whatever. I mean, you never know what you're going to find, so you just want to be careful when you're cutting through stuff like this, that you don't accidentally cut something that you didn't want to cut. And you want to be careful not to scratch anything. I don't have anything covering these countertops because they're granite and they're really tough, and I'm actually being very careful not to lean my blade on the granite or on the cabinetry. But if you I've got a lot of practice doing this stuff, so it's easy for me. But if this were like marble or something softer that would be easily marred, I would most definitely cover it and make sure that I don't damage it. But when it's granite, it's granite very tough, so you don't have to be quite as worried about it. I got that wall off. I'm just going to pull all these old nails out. And then I'm going to move along to this wall here. Okay, so that's all off, and the electrician's gonna add some boxes and whatever, switches, and then once he's done, I'm gonna come back. There's no insulation over here. That's an outside wall, so I'll probably put some insulation in over here and a little bit over there. And so once the electrician's done, I'll come back and put up the wallboard and the tile. This is actually 3/4 of an inch thick here. There's a layer of 1/2 inch and a layer of 3/8. So I'll probably figure it out. I'll figure it out. The electrician came and he did what he had to do. Ran some wires, added a box over here, and fixed whatever he needed to do. Now it's my turn to finish it up. Where the two sheetrocks need to meet, the new and the old, I added a piece of stud, which is just sisted onto the old stud, and then here where it has to meet the old sheetrock below, I added a piece of strapping, and over here I also added a strapping. This will give me nice firm connections to the old sheetrock. Because what was originally on there was 7/8. There was a layer of 1/2 inch, and then there was a layer of 3/8. I'm going to put back the same thing so that I meet the existing drywall at the end of the cabinets. You could fur it out if you wanted to, but I'm just going to put 2 layers of sheetrock. First the 3/8, which doesn't have to. You don't have to be fussy about. You just want to get it on there, and then a layer of 1/2 inch on top. Like I said, if you want, you can just fur out everything by 3/8, and then when you put your 1/2 inch on top, it'll be flush with the rest of the walls. But this way, because I'm just doing it this way because it makes the wall a little stronger, the sheetrock a little stronger, and it'll bring me back to exactly what I need to be. Where this see the stud that's over here, this little piece of stud is sticking out a little further than the rest of the wall, so I am just going to shim that. I'm just going to cut it back a little bit so that it's even with the rest of the wall and I don't get a bow in the wall. It's best to do whatever prep work you need to do so that you have a nice flat wall. And then I'll install the sheetrock. And you can use just regular sheetrock because this is not a wet area, so there's really no water in this area here, so it doesn't have to be Durock. You can put Durock if you want, but that's going to make your life harder. So you really don't need it because it's not a wet area, so it'll be fine. The sheetrock will be fine. Put 3/8 over here, over here, over here, and then put 1/2 inch on top. Okay, because it was 7/8 inch stick, I'm putting a layer of 3/8 inch, and then I'll put a layer of 1/2 inch on top of that to bring it back to this level here, because this all has to be on the same plane. So like I said, I put some strapping over there and some strapping over here. Now I'm going to cut the rest of this 3/8 inch in, and you don't have to be really fussy with the 3/8 inch because there's going to be another 1/2 inch on top. But that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so I cut this piece out here because I don't know if you can see that. That pipe would be interfering with it and bulge it out, so I cut that out. And then when I put the 1/2 inch on top, it'll sit nice and flat. Okay, so that's all the 3/8. So now that I got the 3/8 inch on, I'm going to put the 1/2 inch on. Now the 1/2 inch has to be perfect. Well, not perfect, but as close as you can to it, because the tile, I'm going to be installing glass tile on here, and it's a mosaic glass tile, but it's larger mosaic. It's on sheets, but it's a little bit larger than your typical, so it's a little more forgiving than a mosaic tile. But if this had been a small mosaic tile, you want to make sure that you put the drywall in perfect, leave no voids, and have it as flat as possible. And it's always a good idea to do that anyway, but yeah, especially when you're working with mosaic tiles, because it's very unforgiving as far as voids or problems with the sheetrock. All the 1/2 inches on, and now I'm going to put some alkali resistant fiberglass tape, and then I'm going to feather any other edges that need to be feathered with some thin set. You can use joint compound if you want, but because I'm a tile setter, I use thin set when I'm doing this. So this is so because where the two joints meet for sheetrock, they're usually there's like a recess in it, so you want to make sure you flatten that out. And anywhere else that there's going to be an undulation in the tile or on the wall. And I use alkali resistant tape because that's what you need to use with thin set. Okay, so the drywall's up, the joints mudded. Tomorrow we'll put the glass tile up. Okay, so this is the tile to install, glass tile, and I'm going to use Superflex to install that, and this is where I'm at. So over here, full tile, work my way around it. Now it's time to install some tile. You can see the ledger board under there between the two countertops. That's just to keep the tile from sliding down. And I am using a premium polymer modified thin set. And what I'm using here is Tech Superflex. Glass tile requires a high polymer content thin set. You're going to install it with your regular thin set that you would normally install ceramic or porcelain tile with. It has to be a high polymer content thin set. You can use the more expensive thin set to set tile, regular tile, but you shouldn't use the regular thin set to set glass tile. If you do, it'll stay up for a while, but it won't have very good adhesion to the thin set. So you have to use a premium high polymer content thin set. And like I said, what I'm using here is Superflex, and it's white. And you want to use white for light colored tiles like these, because if you use a gray thin set with these kinds of tiles here, it will change what the tile looks like. So just make sure you get the right kind of thin set for the tile that you're using. So this is one I polished the end, so that at the end there it'll look good. So that's a polished side. This is what it looks like unpolished, and that's what it looks like polished. That's the polished part that I did. Okay, so that's done around there, which was a little bit of a challenge because of all the little pieces. And now I'm going to move on to the rest. That's this wall is all done, and now I'll move on to the other wall. That's the whole backsplash all done, all set, all installed. Now I'm going to let it set overnight, and then tomorrow I'll come back and grout it. Okay, so it's all cleaned up. This is the following day now. I set this yesterday, and now I'm going to grout. And I'm using Tech standard white non-standard grout, color matching caulk, and a grout boost for to make it stain resistant. Okay, so in this house I've done this backsplash, which I still have to grout. I'm going to get ready to do that, but I also did this fireplace here, and there's a video on how I did that, and also did this bathroom here for these people, very nice people, and this little backsplash area, and this is the tub area that I did these people. This is about maybe a year ago that I did this bathroom. A little small, but very nice. About to grout this, and I'm using unsanded grout. And for a lot of glass tiles, especially the polished ones or the shiny ones, you don't want to use a sanded grout because the sand in the grout can scratch the tile. But sometimes on other kinds of tile, they require that you use sanded grout. Those are mainly the tiles that aren't shiny, and they've got a kind of a rough surface. And what you really need to do is just check to make sure what kind of grout you have to use, whether it be sanded or unsanded. Generally, when the tile is polished or shiny, you use an unsanded, and when it's not shiny, you still sometimes have to use an unsanded, but sometimes you need to use a sanded grout. So just check before you grout, because you want to use the right kind of grout for your tile. Just to give a little bit of information here, generally a unsanded grout is used for a grout line that is 1/8 of an inch or smaller, and sanded grout is used for grout lines that are 1/8 of an inch or larger. So the 1/8 inch grout line, you can go either way. Most of the times when I have an 1/8 inch grout line, I will use the sanded because it fills the joint better. But if it's a glass tile, you want to make sure you use the unsanded if that's what it calls for. And so, you know, it's important that you use the right kind of grout for the tile that you've got on the wall or on the floor or wherever it may be. Process for grouting is, first of all, you're going to spread some grout on your tile, and like I'm doing here, you're going to spread it all out, and you're going to go over the tile and over the grout lines in multiple directions. And the reason you go in multiple directions is so you completely fill the grout line, and so you push it into the grout by holding the float at a low angle. And that way you're forcing the grout into the grout line, and then you wipe off the excess by holding the grout at a high angle, and that'll clean off most of the excess. And you just keep on repeating this and repeating it until you get an area done. And then once that area is done, you're going to let it set up for a few minutes. Typically, when you're doing a backsplash or a floor or whatever, by the time you get from one end to the other end, the part that you started at is going to be probably set up enough for you to start washing it down. And when you wash it down, you want to make sure that you use just a damp sponge. You rinse off your sponge often. You wring out as much water as possible. You don't want any water dripping from the sponge, and you clean your grout like that. I actually have a video that explains how to do it, so if you want to check that out, a little more detail on how to do that. Okay, so that's grouted. I'm going to move on to this here. Okay, so the backsplash has been grouted, and I'm going to caulk it. But something to remember about glass tile. Most of the time, when you're doing a polished glass, you want to use unsanded grout because sanded grout can actually scratch the surface of the tile. It's not always true, but many times it is true. So depending on the glass tile that you have, you might want to just check to make sure what kind of grout you have to use, whether it be unsanded or sanded. Some of the mosaic tiles like oceanside glass and stuff like that, which don't have smooth surfaces, they actually require sanded grout. So you're going to have to just check and make sure that you know what type of grout to use on your glass tile. Very important. Now I'm going to caulk. Okay, so this is a color matching caulk, and I'm going to caulk these corners now. Okay, so that's it. Grouted, caulked, and done.